On today's show, the guys talk with Cody Rice, the product manager for GoGuardian, and the great new features in GoGuardian Admin 2.0. We'll have music from Pale featuring Trey Johnson, a Google tip of the week, and more. That's all up next on EduTechGuys. EduTechGuys Radio, radio.edutechguys.com.
The opinions expressed on the site and its programs are those of participants and not intended to and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any specific educational entity, sponsor, company, state, or government agency.
Hello and welcome to the show. Hope everyone is doing well out there. I'm one of your hosts, David Henderson.
And I'm Jeff Madlock.
Man, how you guys doing? Hope everyone is doing well. I do want to say a quick, I have something, I lost it. Okay, two quick shout outs. One to Marielle Gilbert and also to Alex Wagner. Both folks have chimed in and said that they were listening and hanging out waiting for the show. So thank you guys so much for listening to us here on EduTechGuys Radio.
What is this, the Morning Joe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there a Joe?
Don't expect to get engaged to me anytime soon.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Hey, I can't keep David up with the goings-on of the world. Hey, check us out on the web, www.twitter.com/EduTechGuys. You can also find us on the web at edutechguys.com. Heck, just go to Google, type in EduTechGuys, and you know what? You will find us out there because we're everywhere.
Be there.
Tonight, when you go to bed, look under your bed. We'll probably be there going, hey, want a Google tip?
You can't tell people that you want a Google tip. Oh my God.
Is it the blue door or the orange door? I always forget which hole it is.
This show just took a
It's
turn
going
for the
that way
surreal.
quickly. Hey, end of school year's wrapping up for most of the nation pretty quickly.
Woohoo.
Lots of things are going to happen over the summer. Lots of changes going on. One of the big changes we're going to talk about today is with GoGuardian. They're making some big changes in June. We can't wait. I know my school district is super excited. My techs are all chomping at the bit. My folks are getting really excited about the new rollout. We're going to talk to Cody here in just a bit about that.
That's going to be cool.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool. Listen, let's go ahead and do a little housekeeping here. And go ahead and tell you where we're going to be this summer, so you can find that out. We'll tell you again at the end of the show, but there's some stuff coming up. First is the Innovation Institute. That's going to be in Springdale, Arkansas, June the 7th through the 8th.
Yeah, and then the next week, June 12th through the 15th, we'll be at the Hot Springs Technology Institute in Hot Springs.
Cool. Podstock in Wichita, Kansas, July 12th through the 14th. That's awesome. Going to be a good one. And I definitely will be at ISTE, the 24th through the 28th. David might be there. If
I may be for part of that, or we got to figure all that out.
Our schedules are crazy. But I'll be there doing my thing. I'll be at the Badge Summit on the 24th as a press member there to interview and do some stuff there. And then I will be walking around heckling booth exhibit people and picking on anyone in education that I can throughout the rest of the time.
And hopefully, if you see Jeff, and if I happen to go, but if you see Jeff in his EduTechGuys T-shirt, then maybe it's a big T-shirt. But maybe you can bug him, and he'll give you a EduTechGuys sticker. Hopefully,
limited edition.
They are
yellow. Yeah, I'll give you a sticker.
Yellow.
I'm just talking. Cool.
Oh my gosh.
Let's jump out. It's going to be one of those fun days.
It's already off the rails.
Is it off the rails?
Yeah.
Cool. Today we have another special guest. Last week on the live show, we had Tyler Shaddix from GoGuardian. We got to talk a little bit about some of our good stuff and what was going down. And now we've got the product manager from GoGuardian, Cody Rice. And I know he's just as excited about what they're doing because they're doing some great stuff. Hey, Cody, welcome to the show. Tell us about yourself, who you are, and all that good stuff.
Thanks, guys. Well, first off, thanks for having me on the show. Greatly appreciated. Love to listen to what you're putting out there. It's always helpful. So a little bit about me. So I am the product manager for GoGuardian Admin. So all the things that go right and all the things that go wrong, you get to tell me about. I think I was here pretty early on, so I think I've touched just about everything at GoGuardian. So it's been a great ride, and being able to kind of seeing what we're able to provide and watching kind of people really get to enjoy that has been really powerful.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was very cool, man. That was very cool.
So, we've discussed some ideas about what we're going to talk about on this show, and it's funny we didn't discuss this one kind of in the form of the question, and yes, we're jumping right into this bad boy. So, but you had sent it. It's great. The why. Why did you guys make this big investment and you'll make this big change? Why? Why did you do it?
Definitely. Well, so I think you guys have seen a little bit of the product. Specifically, you've used it. And when it first started, right, with it was the CEO, Asa, and the head engineer, Nick, and they were just building based on what schools told them, right? So they had a couple admins that they were talking to, and they were like, we want it to do this, and we want it to do that, and they just would build it, and then they would show it, and it would just kind of continued through that cycle. And then as more people started to jump on it, right, if there was kind of more requests, more things we kept adding to the product. But what happened was, of course, you guys liked it too much, right? And it was kind of like the hug of death, where as more students started jumping onto the platform, we started experiencing our own internal struggles, right? So the back end started to be a little unwieldy, and so we spent a really long time building this kind of like robust back end, right? It's all the stuff that happens under the covers of how we store things and how we serve them, and all the cool tech stuff that our engineers get really excited about. But what we realized was we realized that on the front end, right, a lot of the actual experience and helping to solve what you guys really want to do on the day-to-day basis was kind of being left out of the mix. And so in the process of trying to make some of those changes, we realized that some of the old code kept kind of breaking. And we'd change something and it would break one thing. And I have a feeling you guys know exactly what I'm talking about, right? Trying to make one change over here and something over here goes wrong. And so instead we said, we really think we understand what you guys are trying to do at the end of the day. We want to build the best product to help you do what you need to do. So we're like, we'll just we'll start with a clean slate, and we'll kind of start from the ground up on the actual experience. And that's really what we're trying to get back to. And some of the stuff Tyler talked about last week, right? About how do you actually start to solve some of those problems, right? If it's not just figuring out when students are going off the rails, right? It's almost kind of like, how do I get ahead of that and make your lives easier so you're not have to be the detective on a day-to-day basis, and you can really help guide them to be kind of the students that you believe they can be.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I bet when you're always rebuilding something or you're fixing something, you get to that point where you go, oh, okay, cool, we can do this now also. We've actually, we've added this. So did that epiphany happen quite a bit as you guys were fixing things? You found out you could do more than you thought you could.
It definitely was, right? So a great example is right now you have the ability to make specific kind of like policies and filtering settings by OU, right? And so when you're making a policy setting for an OU, you kind of have the structure of how you're thinking about it. So you're saying, this is maybe my seventh grade, and so they need something very specific for seventh grade. But oftentimes the way that you think about that is actually you think about that in this really like top-down holistic way, where you say, well, actually, what do I need for my whole school, right? And then what do I need for my middle school? And then what do I need for my seventh graders? And then even beyond that, it's not just about that OU. There may be even students inside of that need something specific, right? So can we kind of give all of that up front? But to do that, we couldn't really do it on the old platform. We kind of had to move to this new world. And so that was what we were hoping to do, is kind of all these places where, you guys knew you needed specific policies for specific students, or you knew you wanted device serial numbers when a device went missing and the ability to hunt that down. And so now that we had the ability to do it, it was kind of like we can spend twice as long trying to put it all in, or we could start fresh and kind of give as much as we could up front.
Yeah, sure. That's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, see, that's the OU structure, and you're right. Gosh, back in 2001, a long time ago, when we first started with AD, that makes me old, I know it. Trying to build that perfect structure is the hard part, because you're right. It's that whole change up. But so in doing this, so let's talk policies. Let's talk new policies. Let's talk everything that's happening there. Give us your favorite and the ones that you think are going to be the favorite of admins that are out there.
Definitely. So as you guys kind of helped us, guide us, right, and what settings we could provide, what kind of happened was, you ended up thinking through these things, and you would kind of have to copy them, right? So a great example is you kind of almost want like the really basic, right? To use the example of SEPA, right? You need the block obscene material, and you need a block obscene material kind of for everybody, right? That's a pretty global thing you need to do, right? So
Sure.
being able to block, you know, pornography and violence and some of those things applies across like your whole school. But just like you said, right, in 2001, or even let's go back 5 years ago when uh, or even 10 or 15 years ago when I was in school, and computers were very specifically in a computer lab,
Mm-hmm.
right? That was the extent of the technology, and you knew where the devices were going to be, you knew when they were going to be used, and you were pretty sure you knew exactly who was going to be using them,
Mhm.
right? And now here we are, fast forward to today, and all of a sudden, you need kind of a different policy for a middle schooler versus a high schooler, right?
Right.
And you need a different policy for a high schooler who's at school versus one who's at home, right? And then you needed a different policy for one who stays on task versus one who gets distracted. So now we're trying to kind of give that ability to really dive down into each one of those levels and give them exactly what they need and be able to kind of update that on the fly and see how those things kind of layer. So now you kind of can build your default policy that applies to the whole school, right? And then you kind of get to go to the OUs that exist around the high school and apply like a high school policy, right? And then you can turn the switch and go, well, what about out of school? So now I can build kind of a separate set of filtering for when
Yeah.
they're at home, right? Because that's what you need to do. Maybe they need something different, and that's kind of the world we live in today, and that's what you want to be able to provide.
Yeah, that's really exciting. I can't wait. It's funny. I hear you saying it, but I can't wait to put my hands on it. And see, you know what I mean? I mean, it's one of those, okay, I got to dive into this thing and get my hands muddy because this is going to be great. There's two good things about this. The power that you're giving schools, the power that you're giving admins, and the power that you're giving students. And that's really the key here is that,
Definitely.
It's no longer, and Tyler, we talked about this last week. It's no longer just a block page. Now we're going to have the opportunity to make sure that we're going deeper, we're working better, we're trying to make the student's experience that much more meaningful to the student.
And I don't know if you got all that. Looks like we're having a little bit of connectivity problem. I'm not sure. We may have lost Cody here.
Hey, we'll give it just a second.
Yeah, that's fine, man. If you're out there and you're listening to us, reach out to us. You can hit us up on Twitter at EduTechGuys. Follow along, hashtag ETGChat. You can also go to radio.edutechguys.com and you can participate in the chat section. Unfortunately, we're not actually able to see that, but the good Doc Nate is monitoring things and he is passing along information to us. So hopefully you guys can keep up with that, and we've got Cody back on the line. So
Sorry, guys. I
That's
work
okay.
in technology, and apparently our Wi-Fi is.
Hey, Wi-Fi is like printing. People always say, "What's the thing you hate the most?" I used to hate printers. Thank goodness we don't use as many printers. Now it's Wi-Fi. I still tell my mother. My mother all the time will go, "My phone's doing this. Give it a second. It's going to space. It's going to be all right." It's Wi-Fi.
Oh man, yeah, right. This is real life. This is IT technology, real world. You're always
right.
like, it works until it doesn't work, and then it's always my fault.
Hey, hey, trust me. We're used to it. It's all cool.
No, it's good.
We did a little tap dance number. It was all good. So let's pick up what we were talking about. We were talking about new policies and the way you guys are handling that. So let's jump into it. So I don't want to waste any time here. Theft recovery. That was what we had talked about. Theft recovery overhaul. So now when I have a Chromebook missing, I go ahead and put it into my OU where I've applied my theft plugin, to that OU, and that's how I do things. And so when it shows up, then I get an alert that it has showed up somewhere. So what's going on with the theft recovery overhaul? Tell us, get a little in depth, because we didn't talk to Tyler about any of that. So
Definitely.
That's a big one.
That's a big one. So currently, when a device goes missing, right? We when we first started, we tried to give everything Google provided us with, right? So we we were trying to give every piece of information, and there were some limitations, right? So what Google didn't allow us to get serial numbers. It didn't allow us to get some of the information from the Google admin console as well. And so over the past couple years, right, Google's grown just as fast. So over the past couple years now, they've kind of opened up their APIs. So now what you have to do is you don't even have to go to the Google admin console. We have the ability, you can actually just click, a device went missing, and then you can actually search your list of devices by serial number, by the last user who used it, by who you assigned, by asset ID, right? And then click on the device, say track this device, right? And now it's just going to pop up, and as soon as it comes online, you'll get that same notification, right? And then it's going to have that information right there on the side. So this is the device that came online. Here's where it came online. Here's where it was last used, and to get that information back to you guys, because it is important to get your devices back quickly. And now that we have that information, it's important to help you, right? Because I know as much as you guys love being the detective, that's not always what you want to do at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's this is a time-saving feature, and having David and I have been doing this a long time, and I can tell you that's the thing that is worn away on us mostly. But but time is the key factor here. The fact that I no longer will have to go into my administrative console, for Google and move stuff around in the OU. I can just do it right there. That's pretty awesome. So,
well, I just, looking at just the few things that you've already talked about, to me, I think it's very key that the one thing that is seems to be constant, kind of that constant thread, is that whole taking the detective work out of what the admins have to do, whether it's going through those OUs, whether it's figuring out what to block, not block based on what students are doing, or maybe going to do based on their history and patterns, or whether it's, the device walks out the door. You're making it, you guys, I don't, it's going to sound cheesy, I know, but you guys are like the sidekick for, the detectives. I mean, and really, in a weird sort of way, you guys are becoming the detective, and the tech is becoming the sidekick to all the detective work you guys are implementing. That's phenomenal. That's awesome.
Definitely, yeah, and especially when you think about, right, how much time you guys have in a day, and the more of that we can give back, the more that we're doing our jobs, right? It's like before, here's your laundry list that people just keep adding to, right? It's like, oh, there's another 10 tickets in the queue before I walk out the door at the end of the day. It's like, how can you make those tickets happen in 30 seconds instead of 5 minutes, right? Or 1 second, or not even have to deal with it in the first place, so that it's never on your plate.
That's awesome.
This is kind of jumping around a bit, and I'm sorry if it does, but so now that you guys can pull stuff like serial numbers and everything from Google, how does that change the way that's going to happen with Admin 2.0, and then in the future of how we're going to deal with policies and things like that inside GoGuardian, and not have to go over and change the OU in any way, just deal with it directly inside GoGuardian?
Definitely. So the future, right, is the ability to kind of look. It's almost the ability to dive down to where you need to dive down to, right? It's how deep do you need to go to get both the information you need as well as to make the changes you need, right? So the ability to, like I was referencing, finding a specific student and giving them a policy that helps them get back on track, right? Or finding a specific device and saying this device is missing, and how do I get it back faster? So the future is definitely one in which you kind of have both the ability to do your broad 30,000 foot strokes to what you need to do to set up your organization, and most importantly, right, you said the students, how to set up your students for true success, and then be able to dive all the way down as deep as you need to go to kind of make those, to get to like those insights into how to help every person involved in that student success, whether that's like a parent or a teacher or the student themselves, right? And be able to exactly give them that feedback they need to be successful.
That's one of the features that to me is really cool, is when I see that student that's in real time that needs a change of a policy, when I can click it right then and change that policy from, say, the overall high school to one that maybe is a little more restrictive or less restrictive, depending on what that student's trying to do.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's going to be pretty awesome. So let's talk about user experience. How's it going to change? Am I going to freak out because it's all new pretty colors, or is it going to be easier for me to find everything? Have you taken stuff away, added stuff too? Tell me about the user experience.
Well, are you going to freak out no matter what I say?
I always freak out.
You know Jeff so well.
I've had a lot of caffeine today. What can I say?
Totally. So, well, first off, what I'd say is we're not taking anything away. We're definitely leaving everything in place that currently exists. And so that way, because our goal, right, is not to like force you to the new thing. It's to say, here's something that's going to make your life 10 times easier. And that way you can kind of acclimatize to it at your own pace, right? So maybe you need something very specific that you knew how to do, and maybe you don't know how to do it in the new stuff. So it'll continue to exist side by side. So it'll almost kind of be like you have two different products that you're able to use to figure out what you need to do. What will happen is as you interface with the new pretty colors, you're going to like them more because they make your life easier. A great example, right, is the first thing. Oftentimes what happens is you'll get an alert from like a parent or a teacher, right? And they'll say, hey, one of my students was doing something that was inappropriate, right? And the first thing you have to do is you have to go look it up. You have to go find what happened, and then you have to reach back out to the parent or the teacher with that information. Right? That's happens so many times in a day. And so now one of the big things, like I said, was when we first worked with Google, we could only get these kind of, they call them sessions. So you would essentially have a student, but they could have like 10 sessions. Each time they use a different device, it would create a different session. Now there's only one. Because it is just one student. Right. So all the information's right there in one spot. Cool. You can search for a student, first name, last name, email, and be able to jump right to that student and then filter their information by time or by activity. So you could specifically see which videos, they were watching last night when you heard from the parent that there was a problem.
Sure.
Right? And so the ability to kind of take the information that is most helpful and get it to the right people so that they can get involved.
Cool.
That's awesome.
And as I understand it, that's going to be more information for us, like screenshots and things like that, so that we can actually see what's happening. Am I right along those lines?
So the screenshots are definitely more in the smart alerts.
Yeah.
The actual like admin 2.0 is much more of, think of it more as like the overview.
Okay.
Right. So and even at a higher level, like for your school, right? How is your school spending their time online? Okay. Right. And you can even see like you can dive down to Google or Facebook or YouTube and specifically see how your school is using some of those platforms. Right. And so then that way that gives you the information or an app even. Right. So which specific, maybe you know that an app's been causing a problem. One of the favorite examples we heard recently was there was an app that turned all the pictures to Nicolas Cage. Right. And so students were installing it on each other's computers when they weren't looking.
That's crazy.
But what they were able to do is just very quickly like look up which students had the app installed on the computer. How is it proliferating through the school, and to just like shut it off like right there. So it stopped causing the distractions that were causing issues at school.
Yeah, this is beautiful. This is going to put kids back on task. And there's the thing, we were just talking about this earlier. What you guys are doing and where you're moving and the way you're thinking is student oriented. And it's all about, keeping the students from getting themselves into trouble. I was telling David, we're old men, and back when we were riding the wagons across the West, if we would have had Netflix, we'd have been in big trouble. We wouldn't have been able to slaughter all the buffalo the way we did. But but it's really interesting. That's part of it. This generation lives in an age that's easily distractible. I mean, it's easy to get distracted. So you guys are really on top of that. Yeah.
Well, and cool. I think that's real life though, right? Like it's not about so much distraction. I mean, to be fair, right? I remember being in my computer lab in high school, and whenever the teacher would walk past, like I would switch screens between what I was supposed to be doing and what I was actually doing.
Exactly.
So I would have been one of the people that was in trouble all the time. But the flip side is really when we start thinking about the internet, right? And especially the internet for you guys, right? The ability to host the show and the ability to like probably learn even how to host the show came from like a simple Google search, right? And a YouTube video and a blog article from somebody else on how they set up their podcast. That's kind of the real power of the internet. And a lot of what we're trying to provide is at the first level, what you're trying to do is just make it safe, right? So that you can kind of let them go explore. It's like you're just trying to get that. And to build on top of that, right, your Wi-Fi has to work, which is the first step.
Okay, let it go. It's okay. I can tell it's bothering him.
Deep breaths.
Deep breaths. It's good. It's all cool.
But so you guys have kind of put all the infrastructure in place, and then the next level is just make it safe to use, right? So to feel comfortable giving them access to everything that they need. And then the next step is kind of you kind of use it as this like directional tool that an educator can really provide value to a student. So they can direct them, they can send them videos, they can send them docs, they can kind of leverage the power. But the real future, as you guys have kind of experienced it, right, is the ability to kind of take what you need from the world around you to create, for lack of a better word. Right? And that's kind of the true power of the internet that we're hoping to kind of help provide, right? At least kind of move us towards that future. And I think those are the when we get so excited when we're talking to educators who are starting to move towards that and really help supply kind of the tool set that allows them to be comfortable and then allows them to push information down and then really allows them to like change how the students view this, not as like a game platform, a distraction platform anymore, but really as this like platform they have to almost kind of like self-actualize, for a better way to say it.
Yeah. Okay, so where do you see the industry going? You guys are definitely at the forefront. That's the way we look at it. And so where do you see it going, and where do you see it being helpful to educators? As we move forward, where do you guys see where do you see yourself in 12 months, 5 years? Yeah. Where does GoGuardian find itself after they get their Wi-Fi fixed?
That's
wow.
I'm just
shots fired. Shots fired.
Pew, pew. I also think like where do you see yourself in 5 years? I think. Okay, I'll answer this as I've had this interview question, right? Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
It's the worst question in the world, but go ahead.
Exactly.
It is.
No,
it's
exactly.
Terrible.
It's like, because if you answer truthfully, you're always going to be wrong, right? Because the world changes so quickly.
Right.
I will be on Mars in 5 years. 5 years, I'll be on Mars. That's where I'm going to be.
Right?
Yeah.
Elon, hurry up. Build me
yeah,
a
right.
But I think it's more about like how do you kind of facilitate the people who are really kind of exploring.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's can you facilitate their exploration? Can you support them in where they're trying to like move things to? Right. And there's people that are talking about personalized learning and the flipped classroom, and there's so many different avenues that people are trying to figure out how to make these impacts. And so really what we're trying to do is just kind of provide that like those base layers that they can really, for lack of a better word, again, just kind of create the future. And so talking about 5 years, we're always going to be wrong, right? But it's more like there's people out there who truly care. And at the end of the day, like we all see education as this conduit to improve the world. And that's where we want to like just help people succeed, whether it's a student, whether it's a teacher, whether it's a parent, whether it's the IT admin.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny. I'm going to tell you the same thing that I told Tyler. It's you guys are very aptly named as being named GoGuardian. And as I told Tyler, it's like the guardian part of that has gone from the guard at the door blocking everything to the guardian in terms of being the one who helps a child, and that that child could be 17-year-old senior in high school, but being the guardian of that child in terms of helping that child find the right paths to explore. Yes, exactly.
Most wise.
Definitely, right?
I mean, and I really do. I don't know. I kind of had that epiphany when I was talking to Tyler, and I just think, it's a good thing you guys are named GoGuardian, because I think it works beautifully for the evolution that you're taking.
100% agree. And I think that's the true power of technology as we see it, is the ability to eventually be part of that guide, right? It's kind of like, just as a teacher, right, can be a mentor and a guide to a student, potentially you can have that through their daily use of technology as well, right? It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be an or, like a teacher can provide it or the technology can provide it. It can definitely happen in this kind of very cohesive way.
Exactly.
Cool.
Awesome.
Well, as the time master for this show, I'm going to try to wrap this bad boy up. And I want to say to you, sorry about the dig on the Wi-Fi, but there's a beautiful part of it. It's really true. Growing pains are a good thing for any company. Growing pains are a good thing. And that's what that is. I mean, in fact, growing pains led you to where you are now. And that's going to be great. We can't wait till June, because this is going to be super awesome. We can't wait to see you guys out and about. I'm sure we'll run into you in some conferences this summer. And want to have you come back anytime you want to. Just reach out to us. We'd love to hear what's going on.
Definitely.
Let me give you a 45-second elevator pitch. Go ahead. Tell us, give us that. You're meeting me. I'm the superintendent of a school district with 72 million kids in it. Tell me why I need your product.
Man.
Oh, see, I put you on the spot.
You put me on the spot. Well, let me start from, you have 72 million kids. Do you feel comfortable with your 72 million kids having access to the internet? Right? Do you feel like they're using it effectively? And do you, and even more importantly, do you feel like your students are truly leveraging the power of the internet itself? Right? And at the end of the day, our goal is to help provide that as best as possible. Right? So, of course, because it's an elevator pitch, now I have to plug, like, go to GoGuardian.com/admin, right? And check it out. So anyone can start a free trial. All they have to do is have the ability to push out the Google extensions, so they can see it for themselves.
Yeah, and it's not just about admin, and it's not just about that. You guys have a lot of products out there.
We do.
And so all wonderful products. Also, catch them on Twitter at GoGuardian. That's a great place to keep in touch and find out what's going on.
Awesome.
Hey, Cody, I want to thank you for being on the show. We're going to drop out to a quick song here by Pale called Renly. We'll be right back after this.
Rainless as the stars, still cry for her at night. When everything is wrong and nothing here seems right, I just look up at the sky and they keep burning bright. She said, I've seen better days, but I think I'm gonna be alright. She says I'm the boy her mama warned her about, the one that talks so dirty you wanna wash out his mouth. But there's something she liked about it, though she tried with all her might. Yeah, she said I've seen better days,
There you go. There is Rain Lee, and that's music from Pale featuring Trey Johnson, one of the local guys around here. Awesome stuff, man.
Yeah, I haven't heard that song in a long time.
It's been a long time since
Yeah. I'm glad we got to play it today.
Yeah,
good too.
Very, very cool.
Good too. Hey, once again, want to thank Cody Rice, product manager at GoGuardian, for coming on the show. Sorry to give him such a hard time, but it's a I guess we've known those guys for some time now, so it's kind of like they're just good old friends, and they make a wonderful product. GoGuardian.com/admin. Check them out on Twitter at GoGuardian. If you're at ISTE, go by and see them. They're going to show you some great stuff. This new admin, too, is going to be awesome. Can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very cool. And if you're out there and you're listening to us and you would like to talk to us about what you're doing in education technology, give us a shout on Twitter at EduTechGuys. Or you can head to edutechguys.com, scroll to the bottom of the page, and fill out the form, and we'll get back in touch with you. And it can be anything. We love talking with teachers who are doing really, really cool things in the classroom. We love talking with companies and organizations that are doing some awesome stuff with technology and helping students achieve various goals and really maximize the use of the technology for the purposes of furthering their education. So again, reach out to us at EduTechGuys on Twitter or www.edutechguys.com.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah. Hey, Ed, if you want to see us live, we talked about this as the first of the show, but we'll throw them out one more time. We're going to be at the Innovation Institute in Springdale, Arkansas. That's June the 7th through the 8th. We'll be at the Hot Springs Technology Institute June 12th through the 15th. We'll be at ISTE the 24th through the 28th. Visiting, going to the exhibits, doing our own tech stuff. I mean, finding out what we can do to make our school districts and our tech business, our tech companies that we work for, educational entities, better. Then we'll be at Podstock in Wichita. That's going to be a fun one. That's going to be a lot of crew from the SDAC that'll be there. And they actually host it, don't they? They're the ones that host Podstock, SDAC does. So we'll be there July 12th through the 14th.
Yeah. Lots of cool stuff.
Lots of cool stuff. And that actually brings us up to, you know what time it is?
Wait, is it that time?
Is that time?
The Google tip of the week.
I have to tell you, this makes David's week every time he gets to sing that.
I look forward to it. It's the one time I can sing and nobody says anything.
Nobody says anything.
Or if they do, I don't hear them.
I'm not singing from the shower. So I always sound good in the shower. So this week's Google Tip of the Week is not really a tip of the week. It's a tip of a tip about some tips of the week. So what's been going on out there is the classroom teacher tips from Google. It's a Google Doc. We'll share out the link here in just a second. But it's the Tuesday teacher tips from Google. They're wonderful. It's a huge doc. The doc looks like it goes back a long ways.
Back.
And there's been one for every Tuesday. So if you're looking for a doc to check in on, and it's everything from teaching math in the Google Classroom to using Google Classroom in the music class to using it in art class, using Classroom for your personal account. It's a ton of great Google Classroom tips straight from Google that can really get you excited and interested in using Google Classroom. So that is the Google tip of the week from David and Jeff here at the beautiful sunny studios, downtown Burbank, California. Now,
we are in LA.
We are in LA. That's Lower Arkansas.
That's right.
Right. So here in beautiful LA, the Google tip of the week. It's been a great show. Once again, another big shout out to GoGuardian. Great folks, great product. Visit them.
Yeah, thank you very much to Cody for taking some time out of his day and visiting with us. And man, it was awesome stuff.
Had a good show. I'm good. Are you good?
We're good.
Cool. Hey, I'm Jeff Madlock.
I'm David Henderson.
We'll catch you next time.
You've been listening to EduTech Guys Radio, radio.edutechguys.com.
The opinions expressed on this site and its programs are those of participants and not intended to and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any specific educational entity, sponsor, company, state, or government agency.